specialty. I can't wait to hear all of her tips and tools and ideas of ways that we can increase our emotional intelligence. And first of all, you guys, tell us in the comments, what is the first thing that you think of when you hear the word emotional intelligence? Because when I think of that, I think of my mental health state. I think of my state that I'm in to be able to respond with my emotions and where my emotions are. And I think of also almost like my intelligence level on the way that I handle and my coping skills and style. I think of all sorts of different things. So I'm excited to know, Grace, tell us the definition of emotional intelligence.
Well, hello, welcome everybody to our channel, Create, Heal, and Shine, and Grace Through Journey. Welcome everybody. Yes, emotional intelligence is the key to one of the keys, I would say, not the only key, but the only one of the keys to know who you truly are in business, in life, and in love life, personal and professional. And it because emotional intelligence or fitness, I like to use both word fitness, intelligence and fitness. Emotions. It stands for energy in motion.
Ooh,
Yeah,
interesting.
yeah. So
Emotion. Yeah, that's
yeah,
cool.
yeah. So in energy, because everything in the world created is energy. Everything is energy. Like whatever you do, but we get energy from energy itself, but we are created from energy form, and energy you cannot destroy, and it's you can either destroy or create it, so it's just is. Energy is just is. So in studying energy is a lot of energy to study in an energy. So yeah, and it's different emotions. There's two kinds of emotions of or energies, which is love based and fear based. So fear based is what are the fear based energy? For example, I'm gonna give it to you like just let's just talk some stuff. We're not gonna go too deep with this, or else we'll go for like turn into a book, right? So
Okay.
simple ones like the most common fear-based energy emotions are like guilt, resent, resentment, unforgiveness, anger, and the worst one are the most powerful one is called hate. That's a strong word, hate.
That is a strong word.
Yeah. And then and frustrated or sadness. So as you that's the spiraling down of emotion, spiral down. And the spiraling up of emotion is called love energy. So love-based energies or love-based emotions that are emotion or energy emotions are examples are like peace, kindness, love is the strong word as well, the opposite of hate, and then and enlightenment, and forgiveness, happiness. So anything that makes you feel good are love-based energy. Anything that makes you feel bad are fear-based energy. So whatever the opposite of fear-based is the love-based, and vice versa. And this is the basic way to know what our energy in motion is, what our emotions. Now, if you added the word intelligence to it, it means that you teaching yourself to have the knowledge of how energy, emotion works in your body system, in your mindset, in your heart set, in your gut set. And I call that heart, gut, brain coherent connection. Now,
Heart, sorry, can you say that again? Heart,
heart, gut, brain, coherent connections.
heart, gut,
Heart, gut.
brain, coherent connections.
Yeah, heart,
Okay.
gut, brain, coherent connections, meaning they have to be aligned in your center energies. And then you might
Right.
ask, what are center energies? And I can explain that it depending on your belief system. If you are a religious belief, you believe in religion, now depend which religion you believe in. Let's say Christianity, it would be like the Holy Spirit center energies. If you are a Hindu, it would be called chakra energy centers. And if you are Buddhism, it's called the chi energy centers or the meridians
The
in your whole
meridians.
bodies, right? So yeah, and we can use different form of languages depending who you're talking to in order for them to understand and trust this kind of concept, because most people will never trust what they don't understand. So you have to use that same language what they understand, and also challenge them to learn a different language of energy in motion, because even words are energy, and it comes with motion of meanings we attach to it. So every meaning you attach to a word, it's still moving because it makes you think what they mean, or you create the meaning into the words. It's a
Yeah.
lot to
It
to
is a
talk
lot.
about
I love
this.
it though, because our audience can just take whatever um uh, religion, vibe, feeling of whatever they sense that their energy is, or however that affects them, and understand it exactly the
Mm-hmm.
same way.
Yeah. And you have to be careful with that, because sometimes it's your religion or it doesn't have to be religion. It can be your scientific religion, or any kind of belief system can distort the meaning of what you are receiving information from. And then it ends up to be that and you end up deciding a decision based on your belief system, instead of you creating your own belief, your own decision, without all those labels that you've been ingrained by since childhood, or someone taught
Yes,
you.
let's not have labels. Let's
Yeah, that's the
let's
problem, is labels. Who are you
yeah.
without labels? Can you have emotional intelligence without labels from your parents or society or the world taught you? Because emotional intelligence is actually just the knowledge. Now, when you add the word fitness, it becomes wisdom, meaning you apply those emotional intelligence that you have the knowledge of, and the tools, now apply them in real scenario of life. That means you have now be willing to enter or create a scenario in order to know whether you're emotionally intelligent or not. But how would you know that? Go experience it in real life scenario, not based on just theory or books, then call yourself emotional intelligent. You have to go through pain of life. And that's why pain is created naturally in this world. But life is a choice again, and suffering is a choice, and so is healing is a choice. But always look towards healing when you are going through pain in life. But make sure you choose as well not to go to suffering unless you want to. It's up to you. Because you know
That's a hard one. That's a hard one. And I 100% agree with you that it's a choice, but it's a very, very hard choice sometimes because so many other emotions come along with that, sometimes grief and things
mm-hmm.
that you need to work through. But it is as scary as it sounds, it is a choice. It definitely is a choice. You can stay in that place of suffering,
Mm-hmm.
or you can
Yeah,
choose to move forward and accept and go through, you know, different stages of feelings and emotions. And
yeah,
there's so much more to that. But this is just touching the surface on emotional
yeah,
intelligence because it can get so deep. And
it
some of the
is.
stuff might sound a little woo, and we're not trying to go either the religious aspect or the woo woo aspect. We're right down kind of in the middle, and you be you. You be you. You understand and just take everything in the way that you receive it.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, so if you like that's a good notion, because if you are far extreme to the left, far extreme to the right, then you're no good to the society either. Making sure you're in between without losing yourself between left and right wing, when you know who you are. That's why I ask my client or friends or whoever, or even my kids, know who you are. If you don't know who you are, which is the center, You can easily be swayed or manipulated by someone without even you knowing, or even that person not knowing, that they just influenced you or manipulated your energy in motion to make decision for you. Someone will always make decision for you if you don't know who you are. Then you think that's the right decision. Then later on, maybe 10 years in life, you realize, oh, it's not the right decision. Same thing with choosing a life partner. How would you know if they're the one? Again, emotional intelligence. If you don't have emotional intelligence, you
Right. Okay.
know,
So, and there is a benefit of, we were talking about this earlier, is let's talk about a little bit about the benefits of understanding when you have that emotional intelligence, how it can help you and support you going through life, making decisions, making choices, living your regular life every day.
oh, definitely support you because you will start having a different perspective, and you don't just make decision in a hurry or just be always doing the talking. Instead, you become the last one to speak by observation. Be the observer, but not the absorber. Because if you become the absorb whatever this the information given to you without thinking first or reevaluate the situation, that means you're not using your tools, which is you. Everybody has emotional intelligence, but they don't activate it. They think they don't have it, but they just don't trust what they don't understand. Again, it goes back to not trusting what you don't understand. Are you willing to go how far you want to believe? Because
Mhm.
learning this emotional intelligence, yes, definitely it benefits you in decision making, because everybody wants peace by the end of the day, right? That's the goal, right?
Yep.
Yeah, but how would you benefit that peace each day? What are the tools? You start questioning yourself, but most people don't even question themselves. Powerful question. They're scared to ask themselves because you know why? The responsibility that comes with it, they're scared of. They don't want to be responsible for their own decision making because they're going to end up blaming themselves. But then that comes ownership. There's a there's a saying that knowledge is one thing, emotional intelligence is one thing, but taking ownership by embodying it, what you have gained through knowledge or intelligence, is another whole ball game. That means now you have the skin in the game of life. I like the word the skin in the game of life.
Skin in the game
You
of life.
know, someone told me that,
Yeah.
oh, Grace, do you have the skin in the game of life? And that made me think like, whoa, that's powerful, man. Say that again. It's like, do you have the skin in the game of life? Like, of course I do, but I'm not using it. Like now then I start asking myself questions like, okay, how do I have the skin in the game of life? I do have the tools, but how do I put that? Then I start like more like how to have the skin in the game of life in the decision making when you already have the tools given to you. Let's say you are the person who have the tools given to you, you have the knowledge, you have the intelligence, and now how are you going to put that skin in the game of life? Now you start asking yourself, number one is asking yourself powerful questions. And then you start asking yourself deeper than that, which is like, give yourself deadlines. Now you start saying to yourself, I need to condition myself. This is how actually I love myself. Applying self love is when I condition myself to my own self love that I matter too. Why not? Like, I'm because we're so good at like encouraging other people, but we're not good at doing it ourselves, right?
Yes.
I
I
mean,
love what you
I am
said about, I think that key to this whole thing, this whole topic of emotional intelligence
uh,
is observing what you said. That's super powerful, not absorbing, because when you're
yes,
absorbing everything before you decide if you mentally and even your belief system, if you agree with what you said, what they're saying, you're already absorbing what they're
that's true.
saying, and you may not believe or agree with any of that, but
Yeah.
When you observe everything at first, you're kind of taking account of the environment and what is being said, and then you can think for a minute, pause, and
Mm.
decide if you want to absorb that or not.
Hmm. I like that when you mentioned the pause, because some of us don't even pause.
No, and it's easy to just blah blah give the answers and respond and respond and respond instead of waiting, pausing, thinking, taking it
And
in,
yeah,
understanding it, and deciding.
yeah,
Because how many times have you made a decision in life and you may have quickly said no to something that might have been super amazing for you because you're worried
yeah,
to say what somebody else would think. Well, I can't say yes to that. I'm going to be judged by that or something to that effect.
exactly. Yeah,
So, but you
yeah,
truly in your heart want to say yes. And
yeah. And you really always have to reflect back on you too. Like when you're observing, the reason why I said observe rather than absorb is because when you absorb is absorb that you lost yourself in absorbing information, good or bad, let's say bad things, right? You absorb bad things that's happening in the outside of you. When you absorb so much of that negativity, you consume yourself with anger or frustration or guilt or anything negative. You consume, making sure be careful not to be consumed by any negativity when you're absorbing. That's why you flip the coin. You have the power to flip the switch. You shift it by becoming the observer outside of you. So you take
yeah,
yourself out by pausing, like what Angela said, pause, breathe. Just breathe. Pause and breathe. Take a deep breath in and out. Inhale. Inhale peace, exhale stress. Inhale peace, exhale stress. And that's when you start helping your brain, who doesn't the brain doesn't know what's left and right or wrong. It just absorbs because that's what brain does. But that if that's what you activate, but you can activate your neural system in your brain to create a memory of scenario to observe, be an observer. And that's how you create decision making. Then you start inviting the feeling, which is the emotion of, like, okay, what, always go to a positive aspects of life. And I may add here that you have 17 seconds. Every 17 seconds, you can change the scenario to a positive aspects of life. And that's one tool I'm giving you for free today. It's called 17-second positive aspects of life tools, that you change the scenario in your play movie in your head. Whenever you're stressed, worry, if you have anxiety problem, remember the 17-second rule to introduce a positive aspect in your life to change that negative worriness or whatever.
yeah, I could see that being super helpful in, say, like your home life when it's chaotic or there's a lot of drama in the workplace, um, crises going on in the workplace or at
Mhm.
home, family members, whenever people are involved, there's always activities, drama, conversations,
That's
things
right.
that can be heavy or disconnect it where you want to disconnect from it because it's taking you down a road that you don't really want to go down. And so thinking of that, stopping, pausing, taking a breath, and thinking of a positive
Hmm.
aspect. I like that.
Yeah. And be an observer. And that's when you have a clear head because you are responsible for your own, reality. And that's when you become now the author and director and a main character of your own life movie, because now you're making powerful decision. And that's when you start noticing, okay, I'm starting to be responsible for my own emotions. Even though it's hard because you're taking ownership now, but at least you're growing. It's you
Yeah.
always leave room for improvement, and making sure you don't let your ego get in the way of your growth, but stay grateful that you are willing to grow each day, because we all stumble sometimes, right? We need to take ownership of our stumbleness and now introduce that 17-second rule of positive aspects of life. What can I create today to bless my day? What can I create today to bless someone's day, my kid's day, my husband's day, or myself day, kind of thing. So that even just pause and breathe, that, don't think about work. Have a nothing day, like Saturday, let be nothing day, which is peaceful day. Don't think about work. Just hang out with your kids, hang out with yourself. If you don't have kids, just there's nothing wrong with that. I think that what I would call new luxury in this world is having a day to yourself. That's the most beautiful, luxurious, wishful thing to have in life.
Oh, it sure is.
A day to yourself, right? It doesn't have to be like
Definitely.
a uh an expensive gift. Sometimes a gift of time is the most, beautiful gift to you give yourself and your family.
Definitely. And I can see also how by being the observer in the scenario gives you a chance to mentally step back from the situation and can keep you from saying things that you don't normally wouldn't say or getting involved in a conversation that you don't actually want to be part of, or
Exactly.
being able to kind of diffuse a situation that's going on and knowing what to say to kind of calm the whole environment down and shift everybody's thinking, because you're not kind of joining in automatically and just letting the chaos bounce in and out of you, where you actually are all of a sudden. Because have you ever been in a situation, I'm sure you all have, where you're in an environment, maybe in an office scenario, where all of a sudden all this chaos is going on and you're not even involved, but then you get brought into it because you're listening and you decide to say something and now you're part of this and everything, whereas you can just observe, sit back, try and think of some way to diffuse the situation if you need to, or stay out of it and give yourself that own internal peace,
That's
because
right.
you have a choice. You don't have
Mhm.
to always be involved in the situation. I mean, sometimes at home, family life is different. You have to be involved, but you still have a choice on everything that comes out of our mouths and how we react and what we say. We always have a choice. I mean, sometimes we say things that we don't mean, but we still have the choice to apologize and start it again, start fresh. And so I really like that, because that thought is is really crucial to keeping your own sanity as well and your own emotions intact.
It's true because everything is a choice, right? Whether you invite stress in your life or chaos in your life, it's up to you. Depends who you hang out with, and then you question yourself, like what you just said. Like if you're in that scenario, you just got in the group of people and they brought you in, and then can will you question yourself? Will is this the kind of people I want to hang out the most in my life? What that makes me who, and you start questioning, like maybe I should start hanging out with different people. So it all, learn to point back fingers at you. Like, what kind of friends do I hang out, circle of friends do I hang out with, or what kind of information are these friends are talking about? Is it do they talk about people? Do they talk about ideas, brainstorm ideas, and create solutions?
Yes, I love that.
Right? So whenever you enter in a room, listen and observe. And if they brought you into that circle of topic, that what let's say you have a bunch of friends that you hang out with and they all talk about other people, gossiping people, and they brought your name and they ask you, what do you think of that person, what do you think of that person? And you start, and they, it's like the energy now switch to influence you to talk about that same person they're talking about. It makes you want to go gossip, and then now it's up to you whether you join in the club or influence the energy in the room by asking them questions, powerful questions, by you taking the authority of the conversation without them getting getting making them feel like you're judging them, making sure you don't go down the road of judging, but question their authority as well, whether they have authority and ownership of their conversation by telling that truth. Because sometimes when you, I like this saying, which I learned from the Queen Elizabeth during her younger years, which I studied her personality and said, when you bring the truth, people silence. People become
Mm,
silent. So, because truth makes people silent because it's about truth. No one can go against the truth. So, if you speak the truth with authority, such authority, it silences the gossipers, it silences the negativity. So, if you have a way to say something in a world of gossipers, ask them questions about themselves. And then this is what I would say. What makes you think that person is like that? So bring back the question to them, point back the first back to them about themselves instead of talking the person that who's not there, who cannot even defend themselves. So that's how you bring influence in the energy of the room, meaning now you're using your emotional intelligence and fitness at the same time, because now you're applying in a real life scenario because you're questioning themselves to stop talking about that person, but you now switch the question by talking about them. You know what I mean?
mm, yeah.
Yeah.
And you can also say that, I'm not sure that this is appropriate for where we are right now.
Well, if
And
you want to be obvious, you can
yeah,
say
if you want
that.
to
But
be
you.
obvious.
But the thing is, the point is not to be obvious, but to also just play with the flow, because you want to be creative too, that you still be friends with them. You want them, you don't want to burn the bridge. The point is not to burn the bridge, is also bring them back to their truth. That's the point of that conversation, is to bring them, how to bring them back to their truth by asking
Bring
them
them back to their
powerful
truth.
questions.
I
Yeah,
love that. Yeah.
yeah. It's
Yeah.
all about powerful question, because when I learned the training and coaching about emotional and intelligent, we have to come up with powerful questions. What's the difference between powerful questions and right questions? Right question is okay, but powerful question, it leads you back to the truth. Yeah,
Right.
yeah.
But you can also decide to not be part of that
You
conversation as
can, and
well.
yeah, you can say like, excuse me, I need to be somewhere. There's more important things to do rather than talk about this. You can say that too. You can
Exactly.
be direct. And
Yeah,
that will
exactly.
silence everybody and go on their own way and go back to work.
Yeah, that's funny. Yeah, I think that that's it's a super powerful. There's so many tools and so many things that
You
how
can
you
be
can
creative
utilize.
about it, you know. You don't
Hmm.
have to be blunt so much, because blunt is can, because depends on the culture. Because in my country, being blunt and direct is being respectful. They respect you more, but we're here in Canada, they get offended. So you have to be sugarcoat the word, but some people, it's not all Canadians are like that, but you find other Canadians, they get offended when you're too blunt and too direct. So you have to really like go your way, different direction just to get to the point.
Yes, I
But
could see that people would take offense to that quite easily.
yeah,
But yeah, and it depends how you were raised as well and what.
yeah,
And I think that is, instead of just allowing the words to spew out of your mouth what you want to say, is
mm,
part of the observing part, is to take it in first, pause, think about what you want to
mm-hmm,
say, and have, like, not everything we say is going to be a powerful question, but if we can take the time to think of something
yeah.
that would benefit everybody, and I think that that was super.
The simple thing to say is say, I have no comment on this right now. That's what I mostly say when I don't want to participate in such thing. I just quiet. I'm quiet there, and I said, What did you say? I didn't hear that. Sorry, no comment. Then
Mm.
I do my way, and then there's like, okay, they said nothing because I have nothing really to say. I said no comment. What else
I
can they
see, I
say?
like that the best
You
because
know,
I remember being in some certain scenarios that, oh man, I can recall them. I'm not going to even go there
oh
today,
no, don't need to
but,
mention.
but, and it has to do with like workplace drama. So I can
Mm,
just see that, yeah, no comment is
the best.
simple
Easy,
and effective and easy.
easy to get out of the situation, right?
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah. No comment. I like you, but no comment.
Yeah, no comment. I like you. So tell us different ways and maybe a scenario where, besides that one, that was a really good scenario, but a scenario where
Mhm.
emotional intelligence could help you cope with different aspects of life,
Well, be
like
more
like
specific with aspects of
suffering,
life. Like what?
like suffering when you're suffering, whatever that is, illness, grief, depression, different things, how that can really work in your favor when you know some of the techniques and tools that you
Well,
teach.
I want things that you have mentioned, grief, suffering, and to generalize it, but we can go specific, like say you lost someone, right?
Mm-hmm.
Emotional intelligence, I apply that to myself. Shock, I call it shock waves of loss after loss of my oldest son, my dad, and my boyfriend, and my marriage of 20 years, right? And my career. And it was a lot. So what I did emotionally is step back, pause, breathe, meditate, let go of things that's no longer working for you. But in order to let go, before you go to the stage of letting go, is acknowledge what's going on. Acknowledging, most people don't even acknowledge what's really going on. They're in denial, but that's part of grieving stage. But then don't stay in there in denial. Number two is after acknowledge is what I call acceptance. Acceptance is also the most hardest part is accepting what is and accepting what's to come to improve you. Are you willing to accept that? What's next? The next level, right? But accepting of what's in the past, that you just lost this and that, and accepting you wish you could do something, and accepting that I'm not going to have it back. I cannot replace it. And accepting that I need to move forward and heal forward. There's a difference between moving on and moving forward. Moving on is like forgetting that it happened. And moving forward is not forgetting what happened, but learn something from it. But without losing yourself, you still move forward. And that's how you heal forward. So acceptance is a huge one, to pause and breathe. You go in a solitude way and accept that without any distraction at all. At the same time, if you're in a working place, you need to pay bills. Yeah, do that. But then you need to apply of the switch in your brain, because everybody has a switch in their brain, but they don't know that. And I went through that myself, that switch in the brain. There are different switches of emotion to shut off the frustration, to shut off the denial, to shut off the anger, the unforgiveness, the resentment switch, and then to turn on the switch of love, peace, and kindness, and then letting go, stuff like that, right? There's so many switches of emotions. That's when I realized, oh, I am the one who can control this. I am the one who needs to start mastering my evolution. I didn't realize that before, because I thought the emotion has mastered me. It was actually the other way around. When I finally accepted that I can control it, or in other words, let's use a different, better word, master it or influence the how we choose our own scenario or feelings, then I started applying the tools of, how do I apply acceptance? By just being observant of my own choice, my own feelings. What kind of feeling do I want to feel better, to learn to accept? By now, that's when the 17-second rule that I just said before is apply. 17-second rule of positive aspects of life. In this aspect of grief, of losing someone, is that even define me? If it
Mm-hmm.
defines me, then I put a limit to myself. So the
Right.
acceptance part stage in life is a long process, but it's up to you again to stay in there. Would you move on to the next level, which is inspired actions?
Mm.
So after acceptance, you're now gonna go through inspired action. That's when you start rebuilding your life, not from a scratch, not to feel like you're a failure that happened to you. No, that's actually a gift to you by God or universe, that those grief are a gift, are a price of love. Meaning now it's given to you an opportunity. How can you turn your loss into love? Can you accept that? Can you acknowledge that and accept it and try to have an inspired actions? What are the inspired actions you're gonna act upon to
Wow,
turn it
that's really
around?
powerful.
Yeah.
That whole
So
scenario. And I remember from going through a massive
mhm,
health crisis that
yeah.
there's this part in the beginning before acknowledgement, before acceptance, before any of this that was like it was like shock.
Yeah.
It was shock that wouldn't seem to end, that I couldn't get to acceptance and acknowledgement because the shock wouldn't end. And I remember it was like being lost in the wilderness when you're told,
Mm,
you know, you have a terminal disease.
yeah.
And so I feel like I can totally relate to that because I felt like I had to find my own switch and
Mm,
switch the shock off in order to move
yeah.
forward because I couldn't release that, wasn't releasing on its own. And
Exactly.
something came over me and I just knew I had to do it
Mm-hmm.
or it wasn't going to end. And so
Yeah.
when you said that about turning the switches on and off, it totally reminded me of that moment. And I remember I was in the hospital because I was in there for on and off for
Mhm.
2 years.
Yeah.
And
It's tough because now your life gets involved with it. Like you don't know whether you're gonna have tomorrow, right? Because I remember too, I had 6 weeks to live after giving birth to twins. Like, oh my gosh, like I suddenly you really need to make that powerful decision. Do I want to live or die? You
yes, that
like
was the decision.
yeah, and that decision you become intentional to your choices. When you become intentional, that's when manifestation comes in, whether you manifest fear-based or love-based emotions, right? So fear-based can be like intentionally fear-based, like I'm gonna die anyway. I'm just gonna give up. I have no hope. Then that will
Sure.
manifest because that's what you intentionally powerfully wanna keep saying and replaying in your switch in your head. That's what you're switching it on, switching on. But then if you activate the other one, the other love-based emotion, is you say, I wanna live. I want to appreciate and not take life for granted. I want to spend time with my kids and see my grandbabies or stuff like that. Then you intentionally starting to acknowledge, accept. Then after accept, sorry, I need to get back to letting go of what's not no longer working for you. Then you have inspired action. So what can I
Mm-hmm.
do to create solution to heal me? Now you're making improve space for improvement about you. Then you discover that what? There's another layer of me that I never knew that I could be, do, have, and create. You know? Yeah.
Yeah.
So that's what the happened to me when I had 6 weeks to live, or I lost shockwaves of losses, like what I mentioned before. It made me to a person who I become. But at the same time, all those scenarios in different aspects of life, either spiritually, financially, psychologically, mentally, energetically, emotionally, or physically, it's not about your becoming. Yes, that's important. But what I realized is actually we are here to create life, peace, healing.
Mm.
But it's up to you if you want to turn that around to negativity, that you're creating chaos, or evil, right? So it's up to you. But I rather create peace and healing, because if we are here to create, apart from finding who we are becoming first, and becoming what are the limiting beliefs, then becoming, but then you realize it later, oh, we're here to actually create life. It's all about
Yes.
creation, because that's what life is creation. But what kind of emotion? that you want to master to create, because everything in creation is emotion, energy, emotion, because creation is energy.
Yes,
You can,
definitely.
yeah, exactly.
Yeah, I can totally you know what's so funny is
Uh-huh.
sitting here today
Yeah.
talking, and Grace and I have both been through this shockwave in the wilderness, through the acknowledgement, through the acceptance, through the letting go,
Yeah.
into the inspired action, which has brought us both here at this moment creating. So
Yeah.
I just think that it's
Yeah, that's right.
like the cycle, like it's really the cycle. And everybody's different with how long you stay in those stages for. Like I've been in that for 2 years, and you've been going through that for even more than that since your son, and actually probably since your ex-husband had the first accident, really, like
Yeah.
all of those different
Yeah.
things.
Yeah.
You
It was just on and off. Then I realized, you know what? We can actually end this on and off. But the problem with that, when you're in a relationship, you have no control or over someone else's decision whether your partner will go along with you or grow with you or not. But the saddest part is with my case, in my relationship with my ex, we were going separate ways, and that's what ended our marriage. I was like, oh man, like I wish we could go together, but we separated in a different ways. He's just growing his own, I grow my own way of relationship. But again, learning to acknowledge and accept and letting go and have a different, creating an inspired actions to build yourself without that partner that you wish you could have for the rest of your life. Then you realize that you meet people through season, reason, or a lifetime. And then I realized through acceptance and acknowledgement that, oh, with my ex is a season, you know, and I need to accept that, because you meet people in those kind of different things, season, reason, or a lifetime. Then you start creating, and then after inspire with the inspired action is the creation, and after the creation is celebration. Have
know,
fun, celebrate life, and then that's my favorite part is celebration.
oh, and she's not kidding. You should see her posts. They're all inspirational, motivational, loving life. And you'd never think that you've been through what you've been through when you read your posts, because the journey has just been so transformational.
Oh, thank you. And I mean, like, I love celebration. That means, you add humor to your story. Laugh, add some laughter in it. Joke around, be weird, dance. Even if you're
I
not,
remember you did some dancing posts, and I'm like, woo, go
yeah.
Grace.
I was
You
like, you
know,
know what?
and
Yeah, you have to be your own cheerleader, because you don't have to wait for someone to validate you. That means you're still insecure. But if you're insecure, ask for help. How to again unlearn that, because that's not who you are. Because who you are is a person who is secure within himself or herself, secure in making decision, powerful decision. Don't be afraid. And even if you are afraid to make that powerful decision, go ahead, create it. Even if it feels like it's weird or funny or you make mistakes, so what? It's an experience. At least you have some story to tell your grandchildren one day. Once upon a time, did you
yes,
know
I agree, Philly. That is super powerful.
Yeah.
And I think that this topic on emotional intelligence can be really um, beneficial to your mental health,
Oh,
because
yes.
like it's just key to keeping that positive. And not every day is going to be positive, and we know that.
No,
And
exactly.
everybody goes through such crazy things that, I mean, we could all write books on the things that we've been through, and how, you know, especially if you've come out on the other side.
Oh,
And
yeah. I mean, you're right. It's really important for our mental health, especially men and children. They need. I think this emotional intelligence need to be taught in school. like from grade kindergarten or even at home, like have
Oh,
this at
yes.
home,
Yeah.
so that we don't have to fix broken man and broken woman. We need to start feeding and nurture our kids right from the start, and how to raise a gentleman, how to raise a lady from with our daughters.
Yeah. This
Yeah.
is yeah. Wow. Thank you so much for all those amazing tips. And why don't you share with the audience how people can get a hold of you if they want to work with you on this topic? Because this is your specialization. So,
Thank you. You can find me on Facebook, Grace Through Journey, and also on Instagram or LinkedIn and YouTube as well. But my website is called gracethroughjourney.com. And my email is info
journey.com.
at gracethroughjourney.com as well. So, or you just go to Facebook, you can DM me there. It's easy to find me there. And I normally um, reply right away on Facebook or Instagram. And yeah, and you can book me online through there too, through a DM. Then yeah, then we'll go. I'm actually have services online wherever you are in the world, or we can, if you're local here in Vancouver Island, we can meet in Vancouver Island. Yeah.
Oh, that sounds amazing. Well, that was really fun and very enlightening. So
Thank you.
I can't wait to chat again about this topic another time because there's so much more to it. Like
Oh
this just
yes.
barely touched the surface
Yeah.
of this, but even though we only touched the surface, those were really great tips. So if we're going to give everybody a takeaway, what would you say is the biggest takeaway?
Well, you tell me first, what would you be your biggest takeaway, Angela?
Okay, well, the I would say the two tools that would be really powerful would be the absorbing
Absorber. Yeah.
thought.
Mm-hmm.
And that I do a lot in my coaching as well. So I'm used to teaching people to be the observer
Yeah.
and almost do a visualization of you're visualizing yourself, watching yourself
Yeah.
when you're interacting. It's a really powerful tool, but I'm not going to get into that today. But the
Yeah.
observer absorber thing, that's really powerful because you don't just absorb and take everybody's opinions
Yeah.
and what they say as truth until you
Exactly.
decide it's truth for you.
Yeah.
And then you can go ahead and absorb what is truth for you.
Exactly.
And the other thing is that we have the power to flick the switch. We
Exactly.
have the power to flick the switch of the everything and how long we want to suffer for, and how long we want to go through this phase for, and how long we will go through that. And that doesn't mean that if we're flicking the switch off,
Mm-hmm.
that doesn't hurt anymore and that the pain is gone and that the
Mm-hmm.
person is forgotten about or that we're in denial of something.
Yeah.
That's not the switch. The switch is for your own self healing.
Exactly.
That's what
Yeah.
I think are the biggest takeaways for me.
Yeah.
So we'd love to hear in the comments what the biggest takeaways
Mm-hmm.
for you guys is. And do you have anything more to add, Grace?
Oh, I would like to add that, like, I remember what you mentioned, that going through the wilderness. I just want to add something on that, is that regardless that you're going through the wilderness, realize this, that you are the wilderness. You are
Oh,
the wilderness. That means you can now master how the wilderness of the scenario will go. But first, learn that emotional intelligence, the tools, and that's when you realize that you are the creator of the wilderness, of what will happen in that. You can actually influence the energy in every aspects of life if you are willing to activate those switches in your
oh, I
heart,
love
gut,
that.
mind, brain, heart, gut, brain, and body, soul connections.
Oh, I really love that. You are the wilderness. Because so many times we get told, you're lost in the wilderness. That's where in the
Yeah.
wilderness is where we're lost. We can't find ourselves, we're in denial, we're in pain,
Yeah.
that's where the suffering is.
Yeah.
We're going around the mountain, never getting to the top. We just
Yeah.
keep circling around and we're never,
Hmm.
making any progress. So
Exactly. Yeah.
I really love that thought. I'm going to take that thought in and cherish
Awesome.
that thought and let that thought come to me next time I feel like, oh my gosh, I'm lost. Oh no, never mind. That's me finding my way.
Yeah.
That's
It's
me choosing my path.
yeah, it's an opportunity and a welcome to know thyself. Actually, every time you go through tough times in life, it's just an invitation to your true self, back to yourself.
Mm, awesome. I love it. Well, thanks, Grace. This was a great chat
Thank
today.
you.
I hope you guys all learned something new and had some sort of takeaway. And we'll be back next Wednesday night. So we'll see you next Wednesday for the Sisterhood podcast. So bye, friends. Have a wonderful night.
Bye.
Bye.